What is up, Karma Nation? Welcome into another edition of NBA Live for Thursday, March 4th. We have a 9-game slate, which is actually really, really good for Thursday because we're off for the next few days for the All-Star break. So this is the last time that you will be getting NBA DFS in for a little bit. A lot going on here just because it's before the All-Star break. We'll go over the news in terms of injury. But first, Joey, how are you and how do you feel about the slate?
I'm doing well. The slate, we finally get a good Thursday night slate. Usually they're, like 5 games, but the past two and then next week was going to be nice, 8, 9 game slates. So excited to end the week off on a good note and hopefully be happy going into the break with wins instead of going in with losses and harping on it for, 4 days. So hopefully we can get everyone a win.
Yeah, I mean, everyone listening, please, I say this, out of courtesy, bear with me because this injury news is about to be ridiculous. I'm going to try to go over guys that I more or less feel like have a larger impact. I'll still do like role players and stuff, but I'm going to avoid the guys like Patrick McCall that probably weren't going to get minutes anyway. So just quickly, so you guys all know just everything that's going down so far. Marcus Morris, doubtful. Kawhi Leonard is questionable. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet, and OG Anunoby are all out. Marcus Smart will continue to miss games. Josh Jackson and DeLone Wright are out tonight with Jeremy Grant questionable. Taj Gibson's been ruled out with Frank and Tilakina, Elfrid Payton, and Derrick Rose all questionable. So whoever is playing point guard more or less or getting the guard minutes for New York is going to be a massive thing. Continuing to be out for Denver, Paul Millsap, Campazzo, J. Michael Green, Gary Harris. On the other side, you have Jeremy Lamb and Domantas Sabonis, both questionable for tonight. Grayson Allen is out once again for Memphis. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo are both questionable for Miami. JJ Redick is questionable for New Orleans, although that one doesn't really matter that much at this point in the season. For OKC, you have Diallo out, Al Horford questionable. On the other side, LaMarcus Aldridge, Rudy Gay, Devin Vassell, and Derek White have all already been ruled out. For Golden State, Stephen Curry and Draymond Green are out with Kelly Oubre questionable, and it looks more or less like he will also sit this game out. But right now he's questionable. Kemp Johnson out. And then Tyrese Halliburton, once again, is out, and Hassan Whiteside is questionable. On the other side, Harry Giles is doubtful. I think I hit everyone. Is there anyone that I missed?
It might have been just easier to say people who are playing. Yeah, that was a lot. I think you got everyone, at least for now. I'm sure we'll get some more stars that are going to sit, possibly. But who knows? The whole slate could get turned upside down in an hour or so with more stars sitting. But I think you named everyone, but we'll see.
If you guys didn't realize at this point, you're most likely going to go stars and scrubs tonight. There's maybe way too much value to just kind of chill in the middle tier. So the mid-price guys are probably going to carry low ownership. I think it's a decent way to go about in tournaments. Even that, though, I feel like it's probably better to go stars and scrubs just because of all the value and then take like one of the stars or something that is going to get less ownership. But we can move to point guard. Joey, who are you looking at here?
Yeah, so most likely I'm going to... I forgot to look last year. Will stars not finish the game if they're playing in the All-Star game, or if they're gonna play, they're gonna play?
I think if they play tonight, my guess is that they're gonna play because there isn't anything until Sunday, so they have a couple days off.
Yeah, I guess the only thing is if it's a blowout, they might be more likely to sit. But
yeah,
you can't predict those.
Yeah, I think blowouts are reasonable to expect guys to have shorter leashes, but at the same time, I don't know if there's any games tonight that are huge blowout risks. I guess Phoenix, Golden State, but the guys that you're playing from that game probably, are going to get the minutes anyway.
Yeah, definitely. So what I'm looking at most likely is Dame at the top. He's playing Sacramento. Sacramento's on pace to have the worst defensive rating in NBA history right now. I think it's like 118 or 119. The Cavs had it a couple years ago. So, I mean, in the top 10, a couple teams are trending that way. It's just what the NBA is doing now with the efficiency with threes. So, high paced game, a lot of scoring, not much defense in the Sacramento Portland game. Probably a game I'm going to look to stack some of the higher priced guys. I have to figure out who to run it back with Sacramento because it looks like they're spreading the ball around a ton. Tyrese Halliburton being out does help a little bit for the concentrated usage rates. But I'm probably going to be looking at Dame at the top and maybe playing De'Aaron Fox. Like you said, the middle price guys are probably going to be less owned, so you might be getting Fox, even though he's 8'9". You can probably easily fit him with all the scrubs you can play. But Dame and Fox in a little mini game stack there, they're probably going to both score. Well, Fox isn't a huge scorer, but he'll probably get 25 plus. Portland's not good defensively either. I'm not sure what the total is in this game, but I'm sure it's the highest total on the slate. Just obviously, no team wants to play defense. High paced game. If Dame shots on, Sacramento has to keep up with Portland. Easily 130 for both teams, we could see. So that's a game I'm going to be prioritizing with the star side of it. Other teams I'll be prioritizing with the scrub side, but Dame at the top. Westbrook walking triple double. He always seems to teeter around the triple double basically every game. So if you get that bonus, it's really nice. He's got 9 rebounds, 9 assists in a couple of these games in the past 10 games. But triple double, triple double, triple double, triple double. Last 2 games he hasn't gotten that triple double bonus, so I guess he's due to get another triple double. If Kawhi and PG, I assume one of them sits, but games should be closer. Washington's played a lot better as of late, so less blowout risk there. But if Kawhi and PG both sit, or one of them sits, this game should definitely be close. And Westbrook's another player I would like to get some exposure to. 10-4 is a little pricey for him, but if you can get that 20-point, 25-point triple-double, it's definitely worth it. And then you got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. 9,000's a little pricey for him. I don't think he has much of a ceiling at that price. You really need 50 plus from him tonight, maybe even more than 50, just with how this slate's going to go. So he's most likely will have low ownerships, and he's probably someone I'm not going to be prioritizing either. Denver, no one's at risk to really sit for the star side, but Jamal Murray's been scoring like crazy. So definitely can be a high upside play if he's scoring 30, 35 points. And we saw Kyle Lowry. Everyone on Toronto is basically out. So Kyle Lowry is going to have another easy 40-plus game. So if you can get up to 45, 50, I'm assuming he'll have low ownership as well, just because no one wants to. Because you can stack so many stars. So I'm sure people are going to try to fit 3 10K guys in there. So everyone right below 10K is going to be pretty low owned, less owned than they should be if there wasn't so many scrubs on the slate. But that's probably what I'm prioritizing at the top.
Yeah, I think Damian Lillard and Russell Westbrook are kind of in a tier of their own. I think they're more or less by far the 2 top plays. I do really like De'Aaron Fox, like you said. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, I agree. I like him to score a lot tonight just because of the matchup against San Antonio, but 9K is really getting out of it. And Kyle Lowry, I don't have any issues with. Just underneath him, DeJounte Murray at 7'9" feels too cheap for the matchup. I do like that. That's strictly tournaments. I don't think you're really going there in cash. Kemba Walker feels relatively fine to me. He's actually quietly been playing extremely well. Gets a solid matchup against Toronto that I'm not really scared of. And then I guess one more guy in like the mid tier. Well, if Derrick Rose is playing, I'm more or less fine with him. I don't really want to pay 6,000 for him, but the ceiling is easily there. We saw that the other night. And then Eric Bledsoe at 54. The price tag's ridiculous for how well he's playing right now. It's just, once again, if this was basically any other slate, I would more or less be prioritizing Bledsoe. It's just, I don't think you necessarily have to on this slate. But if he has the ability to drop 40, that's a really good play there. I think we can more or less drop down to the cheap options because, I mean, realistically, there's plenty. I think guys that you're going for sure, you're probably just going to play Bradley Wanamaker at 3,000. And then outside of that, Dennis Smith Jr. is coming off a triple double. He's 4,800. Terrence Davis could draw the start again. He's 37. And then you have guys like DJ Augustine or Corey Joseph you can take a shot on, but I feel like those are starting to become thin plays. Whereas like Bradley Wanamaker is probably just going to enter your cash lineup and realistically probably your tournament ones as well. But who are you looking at cheap here?
Yeah, it looks like Buddy Hield just got put on the injury report. He's questionable now. So that could definitely boost Fox and add a little value on Sacramento too. I think you just mentioned Corey Joseph. So if Hield is out, Corey Joseph does get a little bit of bump there, especially with Halliburton out. But yeah, Wanamaker, no Curry, no Green. Both of them handle the ball a ton. So, and if Oubre is out, I mean, Golden State value is just going to be a thing. And then, yeah, if you might have some Clipper value too. Reggie Jackson's 3.9. Pat Beverly is 4.1. Those guys definitely get a huge boost. If obviously Kawhi and PG do sit, they got 4 days off, so I don't get why people sit right before the All-Star break. It doesn't really make sense. I guess they get 5 days extra day of rest, especially those guys who are on the back-to-back. So, yeah, besides that, quickly, the projections portal didn't like him, but you're paying 5.3, so it is a little much. I guess it does depend on Rose news. Do you think
I
that's
think that it doesn't like him at the moment because Peyton, Rose, and Ntilikina are all questionable. So like if all three of them would get ruled out, which is a very real possibility, quickly will probably become one of the best plays in this league.
Yeah, it looks like Rose is popping for the projections now as one of the better karma values. So if Rose does sit, that goes right. If Peyton sits and Rose sit, I'll go right back to him. I don't care about Frank Ntilikina if he's out. That's just a added bonus, but that's just gonna make it seem make more ownership go to him, which is unfortunate. But 5.3 should be pretty low owned either way, most likely. Playing Detroit. So yeah, and then the Detroit side of things too. You have Grant's questionable, so if Grant does sit, you already have Jackson, Wright, and Griffin out. It's going to open up a lot of value, like you said. Who is it? Dennis Smith, great value play. 4.8's a little pricey, but yeah, he is coming off a triple double. So I don't expect a triple double. I don't really even expect a double double from him. We just saw him get a ceiling matchup, just like you don't expect TJ McCollum to get a triple double from Steals. But yeah, that probably outlines everything. Saban Lee could be interesting too. He's not getting a ton of minutes. I'm sure that'll keep his ownership down as well. But if Grant is out, Lee becomes a great play too. People usually go to Sadiq Bey. But he hasn't really done a ton with when Grant's been out. It seems like he's just getting ownership, but he hasn't been producing as much as Lee has. So I do lean more Lee if Grant is out than Bay.
Yeah, I would be fine with that. Moving to shooting guard, I feel like this is a relatively simple position for me. If I pay up, Paul George is the obvious option at 86, especially if Kawhi's out, which George doesn't carry a tag. Kawhi's questionable. Even if Kawhi's in, I think Paul George is one of the better spend-ups here at 86. Outside of that, if you're spending up, it feels like it's going to be Norman Powell with everyone out for Toronto or Andrew Wiggins with everyone out for Golden State. I do think that Buddy Hield's fine, and this is obviously excluding everyone that we talked about at point guard. But outside of that, you're probably just taking the value for Detroit, which is by Wayne Ellington at 34 or Rodney Magruder at 3K. They all played extremely well against Toronto. What was that, last night?
Yeah.
So I don't expect them to consistently drop 30 plus or anything, but realistically they need like not even 20 at their price tags. So it just seems like the three guys for Detroit are realistically some of the best value on the entire slate. But I do think you have the option to spend up more or less for Norman Powell or Paul George. But if Oubre's also ruled out and Wiggins plays, I do think Wiggins is reasonable. I just worry a little bit about a blowout there. Is there anyone else that you're looking at for shooting guard here?
Yeah, Wiggins is going to be the only one. I assume we're getting point Wiggins for a lot of this game. The only real risk is blowout, but if this game doesn't blow out, Wiggins probably puts up 40 plus pretty easily. Just because there's just no one else in that offense. But even with Curry there, when Draymond Green's out, the Warriors just aren't the same. So no Curry and Draymond Green, I just don't see this game staying close. Last time I checked, Vegas didn't even have a line for the game.
I think it's right now, it's -11.
-11. I'd probably still take that. Uh, but yeah, it's tough to play them. I'm probably going to end up most likely prioritizing Paul George. Yeah, even if Kawhi plays, Paul George, great match against Washington. He's gonna need to score a ton. Bradley Beal doesn't seem like he wants to play defense in a lot of these games, and with the All-Star break coming up, he's probably going to be lazy on defense as well. So he's probably going to prioritizing trying to keep the team in the game. So expecting Paul George to put up 25 plus, probably 30 plus, 35 plus if Kawhi Leonard is out. So I'm sure Paul George becomes chalk when Kawhi Leonard gets ruled out. But comes great play just because it is Washington. Washington doesn't play defense. If the Golden State game does stay close, Booker is a good play, but I just can't see the game staying close. I could see none of these players playing in the fourth quarter pretty easily. But if you do play Wiggins, I'd try to play someone maybe on the Phoenix side just because Wiggins can hit value in three quarters most likely, but you could do a little mini game stack if you think the game is going to stay close. You're probably going to get low ownership on these guys. And if Buddy Hield does play, yeah, I love him against Portland. Portland doesn't play defense, like I said earlier. That game should be high scoring. Buddy Hield's going to chuck the ball up, and you just hope he's hitting his shots. He has 29 and 30 in his last two games. I think that Halliburton's been out only 2 games, so it correlates perfectly there. So yeah, I love Buddy Hield, especially with that 3-point bonus on DK. It can definitely add up when he's chucking up 10 plus threes. Did you say Bam? Bam's questionable, but Butler. Who do you think plays from Miami? Because there's
I
Butler.
have honestly no clue.
Yeah. So Butler and Bam, depending on that, that's going to open up some Miami value. Obviously, Tyler Hero and who else is shooting guard eligible? Is Nunn shooting guard eligible? No, he's just point guard. Nunn becomes a great play. We didn't mention him, but if a bunch of Heat players are out, obviously Nunn becomes a good play. Robinson is going to shoot the ball a ton. At 5,000, it's a lot, but it is New Orleans, so they're going to be up and down. So you're going to need Hero and Duncan Robinson and Kendrick Nunn to be scoring a ton of points. You're probably going to need 70 combined from them. Just real point rise if Butler and Bam are out. So all three of those guys become great plays, pending the news. So it's tough to tell there. But yeah, that's probably what I am looking at. Besides the things you said and those point guard eligible guys, that's probably what I'm looking at.
I think we can move to small forward here. I mean, Kawhi is a really good option against Washington, obviously, if he plays. I'm very worried about him playing after he looked fine in his last game against Boston, and then out of nowhere, just, or I guess it wasn't against Boston, was it? It was against Milwaukee.
Milwaukee,
I was
yeah.
just thinking, I was thinking Boston because I swapped Kawhi like 5 minutes before the game for Jason Tatum, who also flopped. So, but anyway, Kawhi's a really good play if you trust him. I don't even slightly trust that he plays this game though. So getting news on that will be key. But who overall are you looking at for small forward here?
I hate to say it, but even at 7,000, Harrison Barnes has been pretty good. You're kind of paying for his ceiling at 7 though, so he's going to be low owned, but Portland exposure. Portland Sacramento exposure is going to be nice. If Oubre does play, obviously Oubre is a great play. This game probably stay a little closer if Oubre is in. But that is, again, if they're making their shots, which they have been luckily making their shots recently. Michael Porter Jr. has been doing fantastic, but you're really it's kind of scoring dependent. He does get rebounds, but at 6'8", you're expecting 20 plus kind of real points for him to hit value. It is Indy. Indy's pretty good defensively relative to the NBA. So, and they play a little slower pace. But another guy I love, he's power forward eligible too, Kilton Johnson, if he is playing minutes. I'm not sure if they're going to still put him on a minutes limit, but check that out. If he does play full minutes, he's definitely a good play at 5'3". He could definitely hit 30-plus points. I prefer him when DeRozan is playing than when he's out. So with LaMarcus Aldridge out, he definitely can become a good play. But he played 11 minutes last game, so you don't know if he is gonna play, so we'll see what happens there. And Sadiq Bey, like I said earlier, I don't really like him with Grant out. He has been flopping recently, but so I'm probably gonna avoid him, even though he's probably gonna get ownership again. And your boy Justice Winslow, he's still doing pretty well. He got up over 4,000, but is Milwaukee. They're a little bit more defensive oriented than the Washington. But if his shot's going at 4,000, he can definitely provide some value. And then depending on the Clippers news, we can get some more Clippers guys eligible to play. And then lastly, would you play Kemp Bazemore with all these Golden State guys? I'd probably say he's
Bazemore is going to be chalk, and I think he should be. There's just almost no way he doesn't hit value if he gets 25 plus minutes.
Yeah, so he's definitely a good play too, and I assume he gets blowout run. And then you can have Luke Kennard if everyone's out. Luke Kennard becomes eligible to play too. But that's probably what I'm looking at.
I think just for the Harrison Barnes thing, I think I get the game and I like it. I think I would just rather pay 100 less and play Norman Powell, honestly. But I feel like most will probably think that way as well. So Barnes is a really good pivot. If you're paying up, I do think that DeMar DeRozan with a bunch of guys out, is a really solid option against Oklahoma City. I feel like he's one of the better plays, but probably, I don't want to say this is definitely where you're going, but I'm assuming most people are going to pay down for one of two Golden State guys, which is Bazemore or Juan Toscano Anderson. You're more or less just going to pay down for one of those two, a small forward, because no one really sticks out so much that you should pass up that value, in my opinion. But DeRozan, Kawhi, Powell, all make solid options. Buddy Hield. So I feel like that's pretty much it for small forward. We can move to power, who I don't know. I feel like Giannis is the guy at 11,000. You're probably just gonna play him because it's gonna be so easy to fit him. Do you feel any different, or do you just feel like everyone's probably gonna use him?
I assume everyone's going to use him. I might try to avoid him at 11K with a pretty healthy Milwaukee team. Might play the blowout risk in the Memphis game. With everyone healthy, Milwaukee's a much better team. But 11K, yeah, everyone can definitely fit him. But it's going to be tough avoiding him, but I'm going to try to avoid him. Maybe try to fit in a couple 8K, 9K guys and add an extra stud, kind of mini stud, I guess, and not go for the chalky Giannis.
I think that's a fine strategy. Honestly, I probably end up on Giannis.
I'm probably going to end up on Giannis too, unfortunately.
But I'm not sure. I do think that Jason Tatum at 9.2 is a really good pivot. Again, DeMar DeRozan at 8.2, I like. One guy that never seems to get ownership but is playing extremely well right now and gets a really, really good matchup with a relatively low price tag is Robert Covington. I think he's a really good option. Isaiah Roby is no longer overly cheap. He's at 5,400, but with Al Horford out, he should get the minutes. And, he does flash tremendous upside when he's playing well. And then I think the chalky guy, if you're spending down, he's going to be Toscano Anderson. But everyone's favorite chalk option, Eric Pascal, is 3,700. I highly doubt I go here. I almost never play the guy, especially when he's chalk, because he can flop. But man, does he have upside when he's given some minutes. So I understand it. I just doubt I go there. Who else are you looking at for power forward?
Yeah, so the thing about Paschal, I kind of remember last year he was much better with Curry out. Is this the first game Curry missed or the second? I think he
I'm not
missed
100%
this.
sure.
Yeah, he was missed. I think a couple days ago. Let me just double check here.
He missed Charlotte.
Yeah, how did Paschal do? I think
He scored 24 in 28 minutes. So
yeah.
pretty solid, but I
Yeah,
don't know
remembering
how
too
well
when
this year.
yeah, I'll probably take a chance just because I prefer him with Curry out, but if he does get all that ownership, it's kind of tough. Everyone just remembers how good he's been, but he hasn't been as good with Draymond Green out recently. But I'm willing to take the chance on him. I might try to fit 3 Golden State cheap guys in there if Oubre is out. But another guy, the projections portal is loving is Jay Crowder with, I guess, Cam Johnson's out. So Jay Crowder definitely becomes playable. But we do worry about the blowout risk. I'm not sure who's going to end up playing the blowout risks minutes for Phoenix. So if Crowder does end up starting, I'm not sure if you can play him. Just it's tough to get any of those Phoenix guys in there. But another guy I have liked recently. Badgley's a little expensive now. He's been doing better, but I was hoping he'd be a little cheaper. But they keep, even after kind of a bad game, 20 fantasy points, they raised him 100 more. I was kind of hoping they bring him down, but great matchup, obviously. It becomes a good play. And then on the center side, I'll probably play another guy from Sacramento, actually. But we got Trey Lyles here. He's been doing good with the Marcus Aldridge out and at 4-3. Definitely a good pivot to the Golden State chalk. I'm sure everyone's going to play the Golden State guys, so Trey Lyles is going to have no ownership. I'm sure Trey Lyles would have decent ownership if these Golden State guys weren't playing, so it definitely becomes a good pivot. Dario Saric, good pivot too. Blowout risk, so I'm sure he'll play the blowout minutes. Great matchup against Golden State. They're a really bad rebounding team, and if his 3-point shots going, he can definitely be a good pivot as well. But you also have Frank the Tank there, so you have to decide between those two guys for Phoenix. It's kind of picking out of a hat who's going to do better, probably. So I'm probably not going to end up going there, but if you run a ton of lines, one of those two guys is probably going to have some, probably going to beat these Golden State guys, but you have to decide who.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Moving towards center, I feel like Joker is the obvious play. You're going to use him because it's a pretty good matchup, even though Indiana's defensive, they aren't really great against the center, even though Miles Turner is a block machine. And Joker has put up over 70 in 2 straight, over 60 in 3 straight.
Just play Jokic.
Yeah, you just kind of play at this point. So
yeah. Unless
assuming
Sabonis is out.
What's that?
Unless Sabonis is out, because then it might be a blowout. I'll probably fade him if Sabonis is out, just because I can't risk Jokic not playing in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
but
that's fair.
Yeah, he's so good. It's tough. It's tough to avoid him.
Taking away Joker, who obviously we love, and the power forward guys, who are you looking at for center?
So I'd like the 2 centers in the Portland game. Enes Kanter is a rebounding machine, and then down to Rashawn Holmes. Rashawn Holmes just doesn't get the ownership that he should, and he's missed out on the triple-double the past 2 games, but I got him in that Detroit game. Detroit sucks against centers. He put up 46 when everyone played Badgley. So Rashawn Holmes is an amazing play. Enes Kanter does not play defense whatsoever. I'm sure he'll get overlooked again, but I'm going to probably, if Sabonis is out, I'm going to fade Jokic and most likely go down to Rashawn Holmes. It's my favorite center on the slate.
I'm not opposed to that. I don't feel as strongly about Rashawn Holmes as you do, but I do think that he's a pretty solid play. I think other options at 5,600, Nerlens Noel, he's finally getting, really big minutes, and he is a guy that just has elite steal and block upside. So I think he's really good at 56.
And great matchup against Detroit.
Yeah. Serge Ibaka in a really good matchup against Washington, I think is fine. Mike Muscala with some Oklahoma City guys out at 37, I think is completely fine. That's probably about what I'm looking at for center.
Yeah, you can
Maybe
look at
30.
Jokic's protege, Mason Plumlee. Seems like he's figured out the triple doubles like when he was playing behind Jokic in Denver. So he could
Yeah, I
definitely.
do like Plumlee.
It's his second triple double of the season, and it's New York, so they're pretty bad against the center as well. So he could be an interesting pivot, but definitely a large field GPP play.
I think at 6,200, Jakob Poeltl is actually pretty interesting too. Again, strictly tournaments.
Great matchup.
And then I don't know how I feel because Weissman's going to get probably like, what, 20 minutes tonight, you would expect?
Yeah, picking me. There's like three Golden State bigs I want, but he is going against Aiton. Aiton doesn't play defense. He just gets into foul trouble. I'm sure Aiton's gonna bring him to the line too.
I
But
don't
yeah,
love it, but 42 is pretty cheap. It's been
it's
pretty
very.
cheap.
It's definitely a nice leverage play against the other Golden State chalks. I'm sure no one plays him, right? There's no way
Hmm.
people are playing him. With
Yeah,
the other
no,
Golden
he'll be
State
super
guys.
low.
Yeah, he's probably the fourth or fifth Golden State player that people want. So yeah, he could be an interesting leverage play if the other centers either get in the foul trouble or struggle. Wiseman at 4-2 definitely doesn't need too much, but yeah, against Aiton, no defense there could definitely be a good play.
I think Isaiah Stewart at 34 is a decent tournament option too. He's not going to play a ton of minutes, but I don't think he's that bad. Is there anyone else at center that you want to talk about? Or I think we pretty much hit everyone.
Yeah, there's always a lot of good center plays. So that's why I kind of like getting low ownership on the center guys. Chris Boucher's an interesting play as well. And then, I guess Bane's revenge game. Baines is still on. Yeah, can go a little Baines revenge game if you want. Boston's not too good defensively against center, so
You don't want that. That's the answer. You don't want it.
so he's coming off a pretty good game. If he gets another 20 plus minutes, he could definitely hit value. But definitely another large field GPP play if you want to get interesting.
It's the time to give a bold prediction. So, what's your bold prediction for tonight?
Damian Lillard scores 40 real points.
That's interesting. I will go Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leads the entire slate in real points.
Wow. So he gets
And if
41 then.
Lillard puts up 40, yikes.
Shea put up 42 against San Antonio earlier in the season.
Hey, if
10
there's
games
a
ago.
matchup
So
for him to do it, San Antonio is a good one.
yeah, he got to the free throw line. He hit his shots. So yeah, I like the call as long as he's scoring 42 or more. So both ours hit.
I'm in. That's all we have for you guys. Don't forget, you can go to the website, dfskarma.com, and check out all of our articles. You can get in our Discord. We're basically always talking in there, and it's really advantageous right now because there's so much injury news that it's kind of hard to get all of it into articles. So being in Discord really, really helps kind of sort out all the injury stuff. So with that being said, good luck, and hopefully everyone cashes tonight.
Yeah, we'll see you next week.